Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms, and today I thought I would show you how I'm going to take this free piece of scrap that was, they were throwing these away at the local Lowe's hardware store. I picked up two, they were pretty much identical, and I'm going to turn this into a place to keep my firewood for the garage in the wintertime. I originally had another shelf here, and I've gone ahead and broken that off, and those are the pieces of it there. And what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to reinforce it because it's a little rickety. It's just made out of soft pine. It's basically a pallet. They were using it to put something on. I don't know. But whatever it was sitting out back. And I asked them if I could have it. They said, go for it. So for this one, I've taken the shelf out. I'm going to take the firewood that you see back there, plus it's time to start chopping firewood. Fill up this bottom area full of wood. And then this area will also be reinforced. And I'll keep my smaller pieces of wood, starter pieces, in this area here. And on top, on half of it, I'll keep paper, stuff like that for getting fire started. The other half I'll have available to put other things, which is kind of nice. We can always use a little more storage space. Anyway, it's a good project to show off that with a keen eye, you can save a lot of money around the house, not having to go out and buy lumber, buy this, buy that in order to make things work. You can repurpose older items or items that really didn't have a purpose. Now, the other one that I have is identical to this. It's exactly the same shape and size. I'm going to use it by attaching fencing wire here and add a door. I'm going to use that as a rabbit brooder for the winter. So when one of my female rabbits is getting ready to give birth, I can put her in here with a nesting box. The babies will be allowed to be in here safely until they're old enough to integrate into the herd that I have outside. I have the free-range New Zealand whites that I have. But the babies don't do very well. They tend to get picked off by owls and hawks if they're allowed out running around when they're too small. So this will be a perfect little place for them to get big and then be reintegrated into the group. So for today, let's get started on this. Now, I'm going to be using two tools. I haven't done reviews on these yet. I will do separate reviews on them. But to be completely honest, this is a Ryobi Airstrike. This is a 16 gauge nailer, and this is, I think, an 18 gauge stapler. 18 gauge stapler. Now these two are really for use for doing like moldings, trim, that kind of stuff. Neither of these is a heavy enough gauge that it should be used for construction of like load bearing. That being said, if this thing collapses, no loss to humanity. It's already put together with larger staples from whoever built it originally. And so I think just for time and for ease, I'm just going to reuse this wood and staple it into place, and it'll work just fine. So again, I'll make videos on those another time, but just for today, to show you how simple it is to repurpose, I'm going to go ahead and knock this out. Okay? All right. So I've got my nailer here. We'll start with that one. And I've got my boards that I've taken off. This was part of the shelf. There's also a support piece in there. And I'm just going to use one on each side and then the other two in the back, and that'll just add a little extra support. Again, this isn't, I'm not trying to make this thing something I'm going to stand on. I just want it to hold steady while wooden stuff is stored on there. So, pop a few nails in each of these. Already it becomes more firm. Again, not made for projects really like this, but in this case, you know, be an adult, use your own judgment. Of course, 16 gauge is not something I'd build a house with, but it's certainly fine for a project of this nature. Go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Now we just need to firm up our side-by-side, and we can do that in the rear with these last two pieces. I'll go ahead and pull this forward for you. looks like this piece came out a bit. I'll go ahead and reattach that right now. Obviously, these little nail guns are incredibly useful. Hard to imagine another tool in the collection that works as well as this one. A little high on that one. And one more. Stand about there. Probably won't win any awards for beauty. Oh, that's a whole lot better. I'll go around and pop a few more in randomly around here just to make sure everything's tight, but there it is for free. I've got my new place to store my firewood a little more organized than it was last year or the year before, the year before, the year before. But I'll go ahead, finish nailing this stuff together. Might try to find a piece of scrap and put it across the back of that sideways. And then I'll load it up with firewood and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so here it is, all finished up. Split some more firewood. Some of it's pretty dang wet. Unfortunately, it looks like I had a little leak where I store my firewood outside. All the more reason to bring it in now before it gets too cold. It'll have a chance to dry out here inside the garage. So, well, there's some of last season's and some new stuff. And here's the stuff I just finished splitting today. Got that stored away. And this ought to carry me, I'd say, halfway through the winter, depending on the temperature. If it's really a cold winter, it's sometimes too cold to work out here even with the fire going. But if it's mild like last year, this will probably last half the year. Sometime around early February, I'll go outside and chop some more wood and fill it back up. But I like it. It's nicely organized. I've got room here on the top to put extra stuff. Right now I've got kindling and fire starters, paper, stuff like that. But I could put anything I wanted to up there, which is nice. Always good to have extra space. Got my little rough kindling here, little scraps from other jobs and projects that I use for fire starter. Those sit in the buckets. And then, of course, the old wood burning stove. Sometime this winter I'll talk to you about some of the modifications I've made to my wood burning stove. They've changed since this one was made. Now the EPA has got their greedy little fingers into it. So stoves aren't built like they used to be. And I have a friend who just bought a new modern one, so we'll see if they're built better or built worse. I can suspect with the EPA involved it'll be built worse, but never know. Anyway, I'm Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms. Hope you enjoyed this video. You know, just showing you what it is I do here day to day. Things you can do to save money, things you can do to make money, and of course, farm, homesteading, prepper, survival, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're all about. Take care.